We all had a favorite show growing up. For some, it was SpongeBob. For others, The Fairly Odd Parents. For me, it was Ed, Edd and Eddy, a Cartoon Network show about three friends battling the problems of adolescence. And this show just happened to get a video game. A game that my brothers and I decided not to get because the majority of games based on movies and TV shows suck. And today's the day I find out if we were right to pass on it. But I can't talk about the game without first talking about the show. The show stars three preteen kids, all sharing the same name. There's Ed. He's incredibly stupid and very strong. There's also Ed, but spelled with two D's, which got him nicknamed Double D. He's the smart one. And then there's Eddy, the leader of the group. He's short and ill-tempered, constantly trying to swindle the neighborhood kids out of their allowance, dragging Ed and Double D into his ridiculous scams. And things never work out well for the Eds. There's plenty of slapstick comedy and a very distinct array of sound effects, some of which I've used in my videos. With all the shenanigans they go through, there's plenty of material to work with in the making of a video game. They could reuse the plot of some episodes or write an entirely original story for the game. The box art shows the Eds all stacked on top of each other, with Eddy holding a stink bomb in one hand and a jar of quarters in the other, and there's a box of jawbreakers on the ground. And if you look over here, you'll notice it cuts off a little bit because I didn't print the box art right. When I found the game, it didn't come in the original box. What, did you expect me to draw all the Eds just standing there saying schmurg? I went out and dropped $80 on this printer so I wouldn't have to do that! Now let's start the game up properly. I cannot even begin to tell you how good it feels to hear this theme song again. I like how the loading progress is shown with the title card being filled in with color, and these cards look like legitimate title cards from the show. The first level begins with Eddy planning a scam involving snow cones and... oh god! The Eds do not translate well into 3D, especially Eddy. He looks like a goblin with a botched facelift. Anyway, each Ed has their own abilities. Ed can pick things up and throw them and be used as a battering ram. Double D has a slingshot. He's the only one smart enough to use switches and open doors, and he can be launched to higher ground. Eddy has stink bombs and can stack on top of the others to cross narrow walkways and grab things in high places. Your objective for the first level is to get ice cubes out of coolers, and you have to deal with Jimmy and Sarah along the way by knocking his stuffed animals off the clothesline and throwing squirrels through a window to run them out of the house. Then you find Rolf's meatball machine, but he says you don't know how to use it until you do some farm work.
Surely you've just hands like a baby, Ed boy. Only after you have toiled in filth like the son of a shepherd can you use such a machine.
So you let his pigs out and throw them all back into their pen, and the level ends with a 2D animated cutscene, and let me tell ya, all of these 2D scenes were animated on a budget. Eddy slides into frame with a hose, then it shows Ed and Double D in Ed's room for some reason. Look, you can see his bed and his poster on the wall. And then the machine starts spitting out snow cones and Ed eats them all. Now you get to the cul-de-sac, which serves as the hub. Each level is in a different part of the neighborhood and is indicated with these floating arrows. As a lifelong fan of the show, I find it pretty cool being able to finally explore the cul-de-sac for myself, but there is a big problem with the level select. When you approach the level, it just says, "Do you want to enter the level?" It doesn't tell you the name of the level or whether or not you've already beaten it. I wandered back to the first level, thinking it might have been the third one, The entrance to level 2 is the sewer, and for this one, Jimmy is having a party and the Eds aren't invited. So Ed suggests sneaking into the party through the sewer, which they actually do. First off, why are they going with a plan suggested by Ed?
5 pull farm, I smell cheese and onion buns.
And how does going through the sewer filled with rats, alligators, and radioactive waste get you to Jimmy's backyard? So anyway, you turn valves opening pathways forward, but you come across a missing valve, and as luck would have it, Johnny, who's fishing in the sewer for some reason, and if you've seen the show, you'd know that checks out, finds it first and says you can have it if you drain the nasty sewer water, and Ed has another brilliant idea, but they decide not to go with this one. So you hit the switches and drain the water, and then nothing happens. I ran around looking for any switches I might have missed getting mauled by clams, and eventually I found out that you have to go grab Plank, and Eddy threatens to feed him to the clams.
Plank says, bring it on, you sissies! What the?
And so you find a way out of the sewers through a manhole that just happens to be in Jimmy's backyard. Who has a sewer entrance in their backyard? That right there will get you into the sewer. I know it looks like a fence post, but trust me, it's a manhole. So now you're in the party, and you have to run around and smash the piñatas, and as you might have guessed, Jimmy isn't too happy about it, and then the Canker sisters appear. And then you're stuck in this really bad shooting gallery segment, and I am very unclear as to what you're supposed to do here. I just randomly shot the highlighted targets until it worked. The Cankers are chased off by bees, the party's over, and Jimmy says you can have the candles. At the start of the third level, you learn from Rolf that the candy store is giving out free Jawbreakers, but they're gonna be closing soon, so you gotta move. And of course, just about every kid in the neighborhood gets in your way. Sarah makes you get Jimmy's toys out of the trees, then Kevin won't let you through until you knock over all the trash cans, then you have to get honey from Johnny to get bees out of the way, and you get to the candy store just in time. But the last few Jawbreakers are contaminated with foot powder that Eddy just happens to be allergic to. And he doesn't want to be seen like this, so you have to sneak by all the other kids by hiding behind poles or going all Metal Gear Solid. You get back to Eddy's house, and before he can close the blinds, everyone shows up with cameras. In the next level, you're trying to earn the Urban Ranger badge of manhood, but only because Eddy doesn't want Kevin to have it. You hit switches, solve puzzles, play whack-a-mole, but the mole is Jimmy, butt heads with Rolf's goat Victor, and race Kevin. Having passed the test, the Eds have earned the badge of manhood, but with only one badge and 3 Ed boys, Rolf tears the badge into 3 pieces.
Here, I will trade you for mine. It's got shiny things on it.
For the next one, Jimmy is looking for his stuffed rabbit, Mr. Yum Yum, and Eddy had Ed steal it and hide it in the creepy abandoned house so he could get paid to get Mr. Yum Yum back. But the Cankers got to him, so you need to search the house for presents for them. There are hidden switches everywhere, and you need to find all of them to get anywhere. You find a ship in a bottle for Lee, then Marie wants a can of axle grease, which is hidden behind a painting, and where is it? Where's the axle grease? Where the f*** is it? Oh, it's right here. Not gonna lie, I didn't notice it sitting there and searched the whole level and thought the game was bugged because it was sitting on the floor and not in the hidden compartment behind the painting. Last, May wants a taxidermy book. Go grab that and turn off the saw and grab Mr. Yum Yum, return him to Jimmy, and he's dead, which means Eddy doesn't get paid. There's only one level left, and it begins with Eddy digging out his secret Jawbreaker stash, only to find that it's been stolen. and there's a piece of a map in it. So you have to go find the other pieces, and oh look, there's Johnny again. Jimmy has the next piece, and he says he'll trade it for a jawbreaker, and there's one on the other side of this series of narrow walkways, and I fell off so many times that I almost wanted to just give up entirely and cover a different game. But I made it through and found out that that jawbreaker was actually a spider egg, and after all I went through, I don't even feel bad for Jimmy on this one. I hope those spiders are venomous, you little turd. Next you find Rolf's goat chewing on the last piece, and you have to ram him into the river again. The completed map leads you to the Canker Sisters, of course. Eddy sets off a trap, and you have to escape through a tunnel full of switches and obstacles before the Cankers catch up to you. At the end, there's a boss fight against them. You have to shut off the electric things in the water around them, and I tried everything I could think of. I threw things, I shot them, I used stink bombs, but nothing worked. I just kept running around and retrying things, and then now throwing things works. You have to be very accurate with your throw, but you can't take any time to line up your shot because the Cankers are constantly shooting at you, and these freaking squirrels keep latching onto me, and I'm jumping around trying to shake them off, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So you turn off the electricity and use Battering Ed to knock out the supports on their platform. The Eds grab their jawbreakers and make a run for it, but they went the wrong way. The Cankers have them trapped, and that's the end of the game. However, according to the status screen, there's another level that I assume unlocks once you get all the collectibles, but I don't care enough to actually do that. Overall, the game isn't terrible, but it isn't good either. It's very mediocre. The level design was decent, forcing you to use all three of the Eds to overcome different challenges. The controls feel good, the writing, voice acting, music, and sound effects were all great, but the poor animation for the 2D cutscenes is jarring, and the 3D models are absolutely hideous. Though it does feel like playing through legitimate episodes of Ed, Edd n Eddy. They even found a way to add Ed's love of chickens to the gameplay, but I can honestly say I'd much rather watch the show than play it. In the end, this is still a TV show tie-in game, and more often than not, movie and TV show tie-in games are just joyless cash grabs, made to entice children to whine and cry until their parents buy it, and then they whine and cry even more when they see how bad it is. I can't first talk about the game unless... And it just so happened that this show got a video game. That is the wrong side of the box. While trying to get money to buy jawbreakers. And it just so happens that this game